Today we have somebody really special with us today. Somebody that me and Arslan personally met last year when they came to Lahore. So we have all the way from the UK, Sheikh, Maulana, Dr. Haitham Al-Haddad. That's correct, right? All the...
No, what did you mention? Sheikh, Maulana?
Sheikh, Maulana and Doctor.
What about Mufti?
Sorry, I missed Mufti. Yeah,
okay, Mufti. Peer Saab.
Peer Saab. Yeah.
Come on.
Hazrat.
Yeah, Hazrat. Yeah.
Damat barakatuh.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Damat barakatuh al-aliyya.
MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. So we have Sheikh Saab with us today. We personally met last year when Sheikh Saab along with other guests flew in and they conducted a really transformative workshop they call the Visionaries, which is actually something that is happening inshallah tomorrow or day after. I think it'll be long past when the episode airs, but they're holding it in Karachi this time. And it's a 4-day intensive where they actually help individuals and organizations shape their vision and worldview and set their goals. And we at Nasia actually attended that, and alhamdulillah, we benefited. And even though I think we at Nasiha had this huge problem of never, sort of setting the vision, setting the goals, it was just about do the work. I think that sort of triggered us to actually come to the realization that, setting a vision is important, and having a framework is important, and, setting out your strategy and goals is important. So, Jazakallah khair to you, Sheikh Saab. And Jazakallah khair for your time. I would want to introduce you myself, but this is such a tawil, introduction. If I was to do it, I would request if you could just share with our audience, because I think most of the people at Nasia would be listening to you for the first time on this platform, just to sort of give us a personal glimpse. Wikipedia said that you were born in Saudi Arabia. Is that true?
So you refer to Wikipedia that is controlled by kuffar and anti.
I had no other source.
Yeah.
So this is why I need you to introduce.
This is what I'm always telling the brothers that they have to do something with this Wikipedia.
We have to.
So they have that section. They have that section especially controversial things said by Sheikh.
Yeah, they have that.
So they mentioned one.
Okay.
They have that documented.
Yeah. Okay.
And even like your responses, they're all documented. Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Really?
Yeah.
A good one in a positive way or in a negative?
I think so. I think it was pretty balanced.
Okay.
Because I have Aqidah to my Sheikh, so I close that tab. I don't want to read. I don't want to read.
Okay.
So
now we need to look at it here.
Yeah. So that's why I was confirming. It said that you were born and raised in Saudi Arabia. Yeah. So that's
okay. Just a bit of background. I am from a Palestinian origin. In fact, I am from Gaza, the heart of Gaza, the main old areas of Gaza. A place called the Zaytun. I think it is known to so many people. So I'm originally from there. However, I haven't been there in my life. My mom, may Allah have rahmah on her, told me once that we traveled for a few days when I was maybe 3 years of age. And when she told me, I started to remember traveling and meeting my grandfather, her father, rahimahullah. That's all. Yeah, that's all. It is like a dream. Other than that, we were not allowed to go to Gaza. Yeah. And by the way, I lived until my high school, and we were not allowed to travel anywhere in the world. Palestinians. We used to carry something called the Palestinian travel document. Maybe in another episode I can tell you about the plight of Palestinians who live abroad. Anyway, so I was born in Saudi Arabia, lived my life. Initially, I wanted to study medicine. I could not study medicine because there was no country in the world that would accept me to study medicine. Yeah, even the Syrians, by the way, I have a funny story with the Syrians. The Syrians, they used to claim that they are like the motherland of all Arabs because, they have this Arab regime and between the Syrians and the Iraqis. They were competing. And Al-Qawmiyya Al-Arabiyya, the Arab nationalism. So one time I called the embassy, the Syrian embassy to Saudi Arabia, and I said to them, I'm asking about a visa. And then the guy started to lecture me about what? About Syria, that it is the motherland for all Arabs. Yeah. Akhi, don't ask me about visa. Syria welcomes all Arabs. Syria does this and that. Syria is the land of... Don't talk to me about visa. We don't ask any Arab person for a visa. I said, just wait a minute, wait. Just listen to me. And then at the end, after he finished his lecture, I remember this, until now, because it was a painful experience. He said to me, yes, what do you want? I said, I am of a Palestinian origin. I hold Egyptian travel document. And I want to study medicine in Syria. He said, wait a minute. And then he went. And then he came back. أخي, please, we can't give a visa to Palestinians. I said to him, what about the lecture you just gave me about Syria, and it is the motherland of all Arabs, and it is just all hypocrites. This was Hafid al-Assad, the father of this evil man. Both of them were evil. Anyway, so Alhamdulillah, Wallahi, I'm very grateful to Allah Jalla Ala, and this is a very important lesson. Brothers and sisters, you don't know what Allah Jalla Ala wants for you. And whatever Allah Jalla Ala chooses for you is better than what you want for yourself.
True.
I wanted to study medicine, and I was so upset that I could not study medicine. Now I thank Allah Jalla Ala that I did not study medicine. Seriously. Yeah. Anyway, I studied engineering in Saudi Arabia, one of the best universities, or it was the best university, maybe until now. I finished my engineering degree. I didn't like engineering degree. As you were talking about visionaries, towards the end of my study in engineering, I decided to be like a sheikh or a scholar. Yeah, I decided that. And this is another important lesson, that the university period is the golden period in the life of individuals. Because you are not too young, you are not too old, and you have a good level of freedom. And they are talking to you as what? As an academic, studying in a university, not studying. So they don't talk to you as what? As a child. Yeah, and you are mixing with what? Universities normally have what? Different people from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And ideas are crystallized during that period. And that's why dictatorships normally, they stop students from having unions. Because they know that if unions start in universities, then there will be, revolution against these dictatorships. Yeah. So that what happened to me. And still until now, this was, 35 years ago, maybe. Anyway.
Sheikh, what was the sort of trigger for you to, like, after doing your engineering, deciding to go for Islamic studies?
Okay. So I mixed with some brothers, and really they impacted my life. And some of them have impacted my life until now. And some of them were 2-3 years older than me. But they had a major impact on my life. And this is another lesson, that we as people of da'wah, we should look after the students who study in universities. And we should give them da'wah, because their influence is huge. And they can make a big difference. Yeah. So what influences me is some of my colleagues. They were senior to me. And, all of us at that time, just to understand, that was the period between 98, not exactly, I joined university 1982 until 1989. That period is known in Saudi Arabia as the period of Sahwa, of the awakening. Because awakening started in the Middle East after the Iranian Revolution, 1979. And that's why many people link between the Iranian Revolution and what? The Sahwa. That is not true. That is not true. Maybe it was a reaction. So that was the so-called Sahwa time. So that was my period. So at that time we want to do talab al-ilm. Yeah. We want to do many activities. At that time also, just for Sheikh Albani, rahimahullah, was big. And this hadith is sahih and this hadith is da'if, and we were so excited, and people are talking that this is now reforming Islam because filtering the hadith from sahih and da'if and going back to Quran and Sunnah. That was the hype. Okay, and Salafi, non-Salafi, etc. So I lived during that period, and I'm like one of the anyway. So I decided that engineering doesn't work for me, but I completed the degree because my father, rahimahullah, wanted me to complete. Anyway, fast forward, I worked in engineering. I didn't like it. Then, qadarullah, I was wallahi making dua that Allah Jalla wa Ala helps me to get rid of engineering and to work purely for da'wah. I was making dua. And Allah Jalla wa Ala accepted my dua. So I worked for another company that they selected me to work in a management project, which is the ISO 9000 certification. So I started to move into management. I took so many courses. At that time, I was studying with the scholars, and I was studying basically usul al-fiqh. Just to benefit people. Otherwise, speaking about yourself is not something that is beneficial, and we should avoid it as much as we can. But during that time, the management was shifting from classical management, organization, a chart, and such classical procedures into what? Into TQM. Total quality management. Total quality management. The Americans and the Japanese are competing who introduced this principle. Okay, but mainly it is American, to be honest with you, not British. Not the British. British were very classical. Very classical at that time. So, and Stephen Covey, he published his book during that period. Stephen Covey, he wrote his book, The 7 Habits of the Highly Effective People. I read that book. Initially, I read it in Arabic. I took some courses related to that. I found that management and usul al-fiqh and sharia in general, they can merge beautifully. The book of Stephen Covey, 90% of it is Islamic. Islamic. I don't know if you have read it, but read it, you will see, these are Islamic principles. Okay, so I was so overwhelmed by that, and I liked it so much, I decided just to go into management. So I took so many courses. I moved to another company for 4 years, a big American company. I worked purely as management. And that really helped me a lot in merging between usul al-fiqh and management. In fact, I worked for that company for 4 years, and I was the unofficial imam. That also helped in shaping my life. So, management, a friend of mine was a psychiatrist, so I love psychiatry and psychology. So, I used to benefit from him a lot in that. I was reading, of course, in Arabic, that was. And then I was the imam. That company was a multinational company, Lucent Technologies, well-known company. I had to mix with everyone. I remember that there was an Afghani brother, a very good brother, very sincere brother, very strong brother. Sorry to say this, but he was like, for us, a Deobandi, Ash'ari, Maturidi. So, but I saw that this brother is a sincere brother, he's a good brother. He's not the quote unquote misguided mubtadi' people. Yeah. He loves Allah, he wants to go to Jannah, he is defending Islam. He was the most active person among all of us in da'wah to non-Muslims. So I started to mix with, expats. So I started to say that, yes, I studied the Salafi way, the Salafi Aqidah, but that is not the only haqq. Yeah, those people are Salafis. And he had the long beard, and he was even coming to the company with his thobe, he's more Salafi than us. Yeah. So I started to think about that. During that period, I was studying with our Sheikh, Abdullah ibn Aqil, rahimahullah ta'ala. He was, at that time, he was 70 plus. You can imagine a person who is 70 plus, how wise he would be. During that time, also, I was studying with Sheikh bin Jibreen, Abdullah bin Jibreen, who was a very wise person as well. I was studying with Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala. Yeah. At that time, he was maybe in his 80s. So, and this is again something that I advise our brothers, no, sisters, something else, but I advise our brothers to mix with the wise elderly people. Yeah, to mix with the wise elderly, if there are wise elderly scholars. Wise, yeah, elderly scholars, that will help them a lot in shaping their life. And the mother of Malik sent him to Rabi'a. Yeah, said, go and learn from his adab before you learn his ilm.
Yeah.
And this statement, it was a statement that كانوا يعني mean the Salaf people. Salaf here is not the political Salaf, okay? The early people, they used to study with the scholars in order to learn from their adab before they learn their ilm. And unfortunately now, many of those who study ilm, they don't focus on adab. And unfortunately, many of the teachers, they don't focus on this. They prefer to sit, and teach online. And that's it. The mukhalata, the musahaba, all of this is diminishing.
Yeah.
Which is not a good, a good phenomena. Anyway, so that started to, help me rethink certain things. Management helped me a lot, and to rethink about things and to start thinking differently, to start thinking in a macro way, rather than in a micro way.
I'm cutting you, and it's really interesting what you just said. That
where is the tea, man? You said that. Allah.
Do
In
give
the podcast, we are allowed to ask for
and for anything. In fact,
Astaghfirullah.
Adil Bhai and Salman Bhai.
Okay. No, don't edit this. Make it natural, yeah?
Yeah, we don't. We don't.
Huh? Okay.
So, sorry. I was just going to ask you, and I think what you were just saying is really interesting, that at one point in time, you're working and you're making your way up the corporate ladder as well. And I think with that, you have your Islamic studies going on as well.
Yes.
And I think in Pakistan, that dichotomy is so strong, where either you're studying quote unquote the secular, or what people consider the secular.
Yeah.
And if you want to become an alim or a mufti or a sheikh, then you're going to a madrasa, and that's full time. And I think what you were just saying is so interesting, that exposure to that, working and management and interacting, that was actually influencing, your thought about what your Islamic studies.
Excellent point. Yeah, Yasin. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Yeah, Maulana Yasin. Okay.
Not Maulana.
Sorry. Yeah. Excellent point. See, this what we call as the Sahwa, the awakening, and the change in the whole world because of that Sahwa. One of the key causes of that Sahwa, or the symptoms, in Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East. Yeah, we noticed this in Egypt as well, okay, and some other countries. When the so-called, I like your statement by calling it so-called secular education. When the people who are studying so-called secular education started to what? Study Islam. That merge, yes, had caused that paradigm shift in the Muslim Ummah. It is an interesting topic. I'll give you just a small idea of how that paradigm shift was created. At that time, they used to look at the practicing people as dervishes, simple people, poor people, uneducated people, because they failed the high school. Their parents sent them to memorize Quran or to go to the, to do Alamiya course or to do Islamic courses. And I remember one of my relatives said to me that her father, who was a religious person, religious person, refused a proposal from what? From a person because he was studying in Al-Azhar. He wanted what? A modern person, quote unquote. This was the style. They used to think that these practicing people are taking it, they are just not extreme. At that time, the word extreme was not popular, but they are, doing it. This is not Islam. Okay, Islam is more lenient than that. You don't need to pray 5 times a day. You don't need to, even if you pray, that is good. If you don't pray, still you are a good Muslim. Beard, was a big problem. Who will grow up his beard? These dervishes, they grow up their beard because they are not clean, they are not educated, they are not tidy, they are all negative things. That was the situation. That's why we need to be thankful for the qadar of Allah Jalla wa'ala that allowed this Sahwa to take place. That was the situation in the Middle East in the early 80s. Or you can say that is the Sahwa, that is the situation of the Ummah in 70s all the way to the early 80s. When people started to see that there is a bearded doctor, and he is intelligent, he treats them very well, respectfully, and he understands what he's doing. They started to see teachers, engineers, and so on. So the shift started to take place. And that is needed in, many societies. Sometimes in certain societies, religious people, they want to preserve a status for themselves. Let us be honest. Their clothes, the way they behave, the way they interact, they want to preserve a status for themselves. I think that is negative. No, because we want to show to people that Islam is for everyone. If you are a doctor, it doesn't mean that you cannot be a religious person. If you are a doctor, doesn't mean that you cannot have a beard. Beard doesn't mean that you are a backward dervish, who left the dunya behind him. You still can have a beard and you can be highly educated. I think the situation in Pakistan now, you are like the Middle East from certain angles. Now, I'm not talking about from all angles. MashaAllah, Pakistan is different. But in terms of these organizations that we see, like your organization, like the organization that are led by modern shabab, Yeah, you can create that shift. Yeah, you can create that shift. But I always say, please learn from our experience. I visited a few countries, and they are still going through the challenges we went through. And I'm telling them, please learn from us. We went through this, yes, and we concluded that this way is not the conducive way for Islam and Muslims, for the Ummah. Okay? So, anyway, that was the start of me rethinking about, certain things in my life. Yeah, in my study, being Salafi. Oh, this hadith is Sahih, Da'if, and this is the Salaf way, and this. Okay. Also, what added to this, I studied in Sudan because I wanted a formal degree, in Sharia.
Okay.
And I don't have. I am convinced that I have to take a degree, official degree in Sharia. And I advise also our brothers and sisters to take formal degrees in Islamic studies. Many of them, they just study in what? In masajid. Yeah? But no, they need degrees. Why? Because entering, I remember one of our, the parents of our brothers, may Allah Jalla wa Ala reward him. He took his PhD when he was almost 80.
Sure.
Yeah? Palestinian, may Allah Jalla wa Ala have rahmah on him. Mustafa al-Najjar, Dr. Mustafa al-Najjar. He said, entering a university adds to your intellectual capacity. Mixing with the staff, the structure of a university, the academic, that adds to what? Your intellectual capacity. Yeah? That has to be done by our brothers, not to study in masajid only. There is barakah in studying the masajid, but it is not enough to develop strong tullab al-ilm. Anyway, I wanted to study. None of the countries, that is another dars. I say to our brothers and sisters, thank Allah Jalla wa Ala that you have now so many avenues to study Islam. Yeah? At that time, no university accepted me to study Islam. I wanted to study Islam formally until Qadarullah, I moved to a company. There was a Sudanese brother, may Allah Jalla wa Ala reward him. Yes. And maybe the second or third day in the company, I came to know this Sudanese brother. And just we were chatting. And I was telling him that I would like to study Sharia. Just love that. And he said, oh, really? My father know someone who is an influential person in a university in Sudan. Just like this. I said, ask your father. The second day he came and he said, my father said, yeah, he is happy to help you. I said, okay. And then he communicated with that person. That person told him, let him get his documents as soon as possible, because we have a new system. We have a system that allows him to study remotely and to attend the exams. Yeah, to attend the exams, but we consider this as if he attended the university. This is another important lesson. Allah Jalla wa Ala says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu urka'u wasjudu wa'budu rabbakum waf'alul khayra. Brothers, sisters, do khayr. You don't know, yes, how Allah will accept it, and when it is accepted, and the fruits of it. That Sudanese brother who helped me, and his father, may Allah Jalla wa Ala reward him and give him rahmah, and the other person, wallahi, without their help, I wouldn't be maybe in this position. May Allah reward them. So I studied in Sudan. When I went to Sudan, I remember one of the funny incidents that happened. Are you interested in the discussion?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't want it to be boring. Okay, so I remember I went to Sudan. There are so many positive experiences, and normally any experience for any person should be positive. This is a sign of success. Brothers and sisters, don't take any experience in a negative way.
Yeah.
Take it, learn from it. So anyway, I remember praying Dhuhr behind a person. And we came to the masjid, and the Imam was saying, Sami Allahu liman hamida. And there was one person praying behind him. He was saying, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And whenever he says Allahu Akbar, another person saying Allahu Akbar. So I noticed that this person who is saying Allahu Akbar, he doesn't say Subhanallah, Subhana Rabbiyal, okay, because the time he's doing sujood or going from sujood, he is what? Repeating after the Imam. He is Allah. So I went to him. He's an elderly person. So I said to him, that what you are doing is wrong. He said, why it is wrong? And then he quoted me from Khalil, Mukhtasar Khalil. That was sunnah tardidun khalfa muadhin, something like this. So I said, oh no, it seems that I done something wrong. This is another point. Don't condemn or criticize something before you learn. It, according to the Maliki Madhab, this is what? This is a sunnah. If you are unaware of the Maliki Madhab, yes, then you will make mistakes. I also remember that I prayed Fajr the next day, not the first day. The next day I prayed Fajr. The Imam, the second rak'ah, he was reading, I think it was from Surah Amma. And he just stopped in a place. I think he said, إِنَّ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ مَفَازَ حَدَائِقَ وَأَعْنَابَ وَكَوَاعِبَ أَتْرَابَ وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا. And he kept quiet. So I corrected him. وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا. And then after that, someone told me, Ya Zol, you are not from this country. هذا في المذهب, in Maliki Madhab, they do qunut. Yes?
In between the rak'ah.
No. In the second rak'ah, before they go for Allahu Akbar. So, for maybe they pause between their qira'ah and what? And saying Allahu Akbar almost for a minute. So I thought that the guy, he was struggling and he did not know. So I corrected him. So it was what? It was, this is from the Maliki Madhab. Oh no. So that's why even traveling provides the person with experience. Meeting different cultures. Dale Carnegie says something interesting, saying that you must mix with all types of people, because your mind, your brain will grow in all directions. If you mix only with rich people, your mind, your brain will grow in one direction. But you need to mix with what? Poor people, rich people, etc. That will help you to what? To mature yourself. So this is my point to our brothers. You study one book, you might study one madhab, and you think that, well, the entire fiqh is judged by that madhab. This is a big mistake. And the person, as Ibn Khaldun says, he is the product of his what? Of his environment. So the one who grew up in a Maliki environment, he would see everything other than the Maliki madhab strange. He might see it as weird. It takes him time to, customize himself, and so on and so forth. So that's why, and Ash-Shatibi has a very beautiful statement. Ash-Shatibi says, كثرة الاستدلال على مذهب واحد تورث النفور من غيره من المذاهب. If you just study Hanafi, and you read the adilla of Hanafi, you'll say, no, brother, the Hanafi is the true madhab, is the closest madhab to. Now, the followers of every single madhab, they believe that their madhab is the closest to the sunnah. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Because they did not expose themselves to other madhahib, number one, and their culture is Hanafi culture, Maliki culture, Hanbali culture, and so on. Yes, and this is a very important advice. To mature yourself, you need to mix with different people, different backgrounds, different. Anyway, so where are we now?
A question on that.
Allah,
Slightly controversial from a Pakistani perspective, because I think that once again, there is a huge dominance of Hanafi fiqh here.
Yes.
And also there is a rigidity, as you said.
Yeah.
That, the Hanafi will be the Hanafi, then you have the, the Ahle Hadith and all of that, right?
Yeah.
So just from the perspective of layman, like I think that given the time that we're living in, that I have, like Chat GPT with me, I have AI with me, I can Google anything. And sometimes...
Chat GPT now, we need Hanafi Chat GPT, Maliki Chat GPT.
But this is my question.
We need a Salafi
till we have the Hanafi AI, right? Right now it's completely globalized. So for example, a lot of times...
It means that this GPT is Salafi.
That's true.
Because it doesn't follow any madhab.
And so that's true. That's true. So just to ask you that, like, so a lot of times somebody will come and ask you a fiqh question. And so I think very recently somebody came and asked me and he said, what's the timeline for the safar, for the qasr namaz? So I just, I said 15 days, and he said, really, I read 4. And immediately I realized there must be another mazhab. And so then I just Googled and all of that and I asked.
No, you did not Google it. You AI Googled.
I AI Googled it. Yeah. And it gave me a proper, and I said, tell me the hadith and tell me the rulings and tell me the rationale. And it gave me a really, a very, and then I cross-verified with an ustad and they said, it's pretty good. But my problem was that nowadays, anybody asks you a question, they can immediately get the answer from elsewhere.
Yes.
And so from the perspective of, even from the ulama's perspective, is there a need, I don't know how to phrase it, that there will come a time where it will be very difficult to become Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, because people now have access to every single answer. And it becomes very difficult to explain to an 18-year-old in a university, it's 15 days, not 4. He's not interested. He's saying, I Googled it and it says 4.
Yeah.
So is there like a need to maybe like this sort of globalization of even these, the 4 mazahib at some point, at least with respect to a masala?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you can take one masala and do 4 different things.
Yeah.
But will there be a consensus in the future that, if this is the, so let's say maybe in 10 years, everybody is following 4 days.
Yeah.
Or everybody, because that's one problem that, we really need to address.
This is a very good point. MashaAllah. Yeah. Ustad Yasin.
Ustad Yasin, yeah.
Arsalan, you are not participating.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm participating.
Okay. This is a good point. Yes, and it is a valid concern. It is a valid challenge. And that's why I wrote a book about this masala, about this challenge, answering this challenge. I called it ما بعد المذهبية واللا مذهبية, post-madhabism and non-madhabism. I said, madhabism, it doesn't work now. Because one example is what you mentioned. Yeah? The information are globalized now. Okay? All types of information, are globalized. By just checking 1 minute, you know all the views. Okay? And the accessibility to information is easy. This is one thing. The other thing, we have bigger challenges that one madhab is unable to deal with all these challenges. Okay, now Hanafis, they do jama' in safar, Mufti Taqi Uthmani, may Allah Jalla wa Ala preserve him. Someone told me that he traveled with him and he does Jama'. Yeah, recently I said, come on man, you are Hanafi, you do Jama'. I said, I'm a Hanafi, but since I was Hanbali, I was avoiding doing Jama'. Be faithful to your madhab. He said, no, Maulana Sahab, he is doing Jama', and many of our scholars doing Jama'. In fact, maybe he doesn't want me to quote him. I traveled recently with the Hanafi scholar. He doesn't want me to quote him, and he did Jama'. He said, well, it is needed. Now you have a flight, and before the flight there is no time, otherwise you will pray with no qibla, with no wudu, with no and sitting, no standing, no, it's better to use the other madhab rather than use 10 concessions. No qibla, no standing, no. So this is just a simple challenge. Let alone, I always say that we are following madhabs in some aspects of ibadat. But if you go to Islamic finance, Mufti Sahab is an example. Yes?
And because of the need, bilkul,
Because of the need, because of the challenges in Islamic finance, in other matters. So that means that we need to benefit from the all madhahib, the legacy that these scholars have left for us. The richness of Islamic jurisprudence. We have to benefit from that. Now the question is how to benefit from that without what? Negative consequences. Following the desires or doing something that is that goes against the very basic aims of Sharia. I'll give you an example. Someone wants to marry. He said, okay, I want to marry according to Hanafi, so there is no wali, no need for wali. Okay? And according to Malikis, there is no need for shuhud. Okay, so no wali, no. According to Hanbalis, the mahar is not like mandatory. This is zina. This is zina. No father, no shuhud, no mahar, or even mahar. Okay, take 10 pounds or $10. What is this? Yes. So, as far as this is my conclusion, the following different views doesn't go against the real higher aims and objectives of Sharia. There should be flexibility. And sometimes there must be flexibility. I'll give you an example. I entered the masjid, and big masjid. It happened with me number of times. We were traveling, and in Saudi Arabia, I remember entering Masjid al-Ifta, Masjid of the Ifta, where Sheikh Ibn Baz has his office. But it was Maghrib time, Isha time, and of course they were not in their offices. Salah time came, and there was no one there. They saw me with like a gutra, looks like proper Saudi Sheikh. So they asked me to lead Salah, Isha. I was on a journey. Shall I do qasr?
That'll be good for you.
So I prayed full. Yes? One of the shabab who was with me, I was his mentor, he told me, but Haitham, you didn't do qasr. And at that time, subhanallah, I remember doing a small study that qasr is wajib. Not because I was Hanafi, okay, but this is, I found that this was the strongest opinion. He said to me, but you just told me that qasr is wajib. I said, well, man, I was embarrassed to do this qasr in front of everyone. And moreover, they ask me to lead salah, and this is a big masjid, and just out of the respect for the masjid and for the musallin, why to do qasr? Yes? So, there might be situations like this. Agree or not? Leave your madhab for the sake of unity, the sake of removing any kind of confusion. So, you must do that. And in our heritage, there are so many examples of that. They said Imam Shafi'i, this is the well-known story, when he entered the masjid of Imam Abu Hanifa in Baghdad, Imam Shafi'i used to read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim loudly. When he entered the masjid of Imam Abu Hanifa, he didn't read Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim loudly. Out of respect for who? For Imam Abu Hanifa. One of the tabi'een, Muhammad ibn Abdul Rahman, it was mentioned, his story was mentioned in Ahkam al-Eidain. Yeah, they asked him to lead Eid al-Salah, Salatul Eid. Yeah? Now, imagine this is Eid, big gathering, and people, there is no space for any mistake. Clear? Yeah. Even according to some Ahnaf scholars, that even if you do mistake, go with Ghalabat al-Dhann and don't do Sujood al-Sahw.
Yeah.
Sah?
No.
So, he asked them, how do you do your what? Eid Salah. Do you do 3 takbir according to the Hanafi, or you do 7 and 5 in the beginning of the Salah? They say, no, we do 3 and 3. He led them according to what? To their madhab. And there are many examples. So the point is, what you mentioned is true. We need now a new formula. The formula that I am recommending, yes, and that's what I wrote in this book, ما بعد المذهبية واللا مذهبية, is no problem. You can benefit from all madhahib. You can follow any madhab as far as what? You don't go against the highest aims, the true, yes, high aims and objectives of Sharia, including following desire. But even following desire, I'll give you an example. Yeah, I'll give you an example. One day, I believe that Salah in the masjid wajibah. Okay, Salah in Jama'ah wajibah. However, but I give a space for the other opinion. One day, I remember came before Fajr. Yes, before Fajr, to my home. I was shattered. Yeah, I was so tired. Yeah, I remember that I was about to have different car accidents. Subhanallah, I was driving. So I arrived. It was my in-laws' house, okay, in Riyadh. So I arrived before Fajr. Yes, and I was nodding off. I asked one of the boys to come and pray Jama'ah with me. I didn't go to the masjid. Although I believe that it is wajib. Yes? I need that flexibility because there might be some circumstances like this. Yes? Even when I prayed with him, yes, I asked him to lead. I slept during prayer because I was so tired. So, Allah Jalla wa Ala allowed these 4 madhahib in order to what? To accommodate for the entire humanity. And we always say that fiqh, yes, and aqidah managed to build the greatest civilization known to mankind. This is another subject. Are we, the way we study now, fiqh, and aqidah, and the way we study Islam, is it conducive to rebuild another civilization, another Islamic civilization? What do you think? The way we handle Islam, the way we study Islam, the way we teach Islam, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that is one of, I think, the major reasons where you have a lot of times you'll be asking students in university as to, and I think in at least in Pakistan and I think world over, where the youth is just sort of become apathetic towards the notion of Islam.
Yes.
So they're saying, okay, we're Muslim, but we just don't care.
Yeah.
And it's not, and I think that manifests not only in their personal life and in their personal action with regards to the amal, but also, generally, what's happening in the ummah, what's happening with the Muslims in the world. There's just a general apathy. And a lot of times when you ask them, it's because, and it sounds so absurd, but these are the reasons, right? They're like, you know what, oh, we look at all these Maulvis, they're always just fighting on YouTube
Yeah.
and fighting everywhere. No, is this halal or is this haram? And can you raise your hands? Can't you raise your hand? And I think that sort of stems, and when you were speaking about unity, one of the biggest issues in Pakistan especially is when you speak about unifying just the Pakistani Muslim body.
Yes, yeah.
One of the biggest reasons is this, right?
Yeah.
I think the madhahib are far more complex, and I think they're for students of ilm. But we can't even get out of the Deobandi versus the Barelvi versus the Ahle Hadith versus the Salafi and whatever, right? And so with regards to that, knowing that, and I think this is like Pakistan is the hotbed for such issues, where it's unfortunate, but it's there. What sort of solution do you suggest? And I can understand it's a longer question, but do you have some things that you can suggest for us,
Of course,
as du'at and also as the youth in general, as to how we can, sort of mitigate?
When Sheikh, you say the things and the examples you mentioned, they are they are about more established academic Islamic studies. For example, namaz, roza, they are opinions. And for youth who are like empathetic in that regard, they are like their issues are a bit different, because if they have to pray, obviously they are opinions and they can pick and choose. But when it comes to their other issues, like very gray in terms of photography, media, social media, passion, XYZ. Okay? So that area is already gray. And when you give this subjective answer to them that there is khair in every madhab and this and that, and yes, there is. But for those who have that knowledge and who have that awareness, these guys, the youth of, if you talk about Pakistan, they don't have that basic awareness and knowledge, so they cannot navigate between the madhahib and their discussion. And when it comes to gray areas, so if somebody asks us, we are blank ourselves. We don't know what to answer. If you can come up with few contemporary examples and how to navigate those issues.
First of all, what I recommend, and I recommended this maybe 2 years ago or maybe last year. First of all, we need people to take lead in unifying the ummah. For example, imagine, I recommend this, that Maulana Saab, Mufti Saab, Taqi Uthmani, he goes and leads Salah in Ahl Hadith Masjid. They told me that it happened once. I said, no, it should happen frequently. And Mufti Saab to invite one of the Ahl al-Hadith, or to invite a Brelwi, or to go and lead Salah in Brelwi Masjid. Or whatever denomination. Of course, we are not talking about Shia. Okay. What would be the impact on the masses? What would be the impact on the masses?
I think we send a very positive signal as to, that
they will celebrate this.
They will.
Wherever I go, young people are complaining about what you mentioned, which is the disunity. And they would like to see their scholars united. Because, see, many of the young people, by the way, now, we started to see this in England maybe more. Many of them, they are professional. They want to support Islam. They want to help Islam. They don't care about what? Ash'ari, Salafi, Deobandi, Hanafi. They don't care that much. In fact, some of the mashayikh, they create the problems for them. No, be careful. If you are Hanafi, you cannot follow any other madhab. If you are Deobandi, you don't pray here. If you are Salafi, you don't pray here. This is a problem. Many of them are not interested in this. And sooner in Pakistan, you will see an increasing number of those young people. So when those young people, they see their Sheikh is leading Salah there, is going there, I lead Salah everywhere in the UK. Yeah, I go to Brailway Masjid, Daybandi Masjid, Salafi Masjid, except hardcore. Hardcore, normally they have, problems. Okay, but Alhamdulillah. And people are welcoming this. And when I go to a place, I lead Salah according to what? To their own madhab. So this will be a solution. Yeah, part of the solution. We need to do that. Another thing, let us stop fighting online. I remember in Bangladesh last year or 2 years ago, the brothers were telling me that on national TV, these scholars were discussing what? Salafi, Ahl al-Hadith, Maturidi, Aqidah in Bangladesh. And that time, Hasina has gone. Inshallah, she will not come back. Okay? But at that time, they were living in a very miserable situation. The dictatorship of Hasina and her regime was, devastating them. And they were discussing this. Wallahi, shame on them. So, the scholars have to be mature to discuss what is relevant to the ummah. They should also know the big challenges of the ummah. Some of our scholars, by the way, they are unaware of those great challenges of the ummah.
Yes.
Or they, yes, may Allah help our brothers and sisters in Gaza, may Allah help. That's it. But for them, the biggest challenge is, I'll tell you one thing. One time I was speaking about unity, and there was a scholar, and he raised his hand, and he said, how can the Ummah be united and we are not united on moon sighting? I said, yeah, Sheikh. So unless the moon sighting issue is resolved, we leave the Ummah disunited? He said, no, I'm not saying this, but the Ummah cannot be united. And this simple thing, the Ummah cannot be united on. I said, in simple management, if you get stuck with something, we learn some concept in our university. Don't get stuck at question number 5. Some scholars are stuck at question number 5. What does that mean? We used to have multiple choice questions. And those multiple in exams, multiple choice exams. You have 20 questions. You have to solve them in 30 minutes or maximum 1 hour. So you have to solve very quickly. And you have to choose between A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. You have to choose. If question number 5 is difficult, what do?
Move to the next one.
Simple. Doesn't need rocket science, as they say. You move to question number 6. The person who gets stuck at question number 5 is stupid. He will lose the exam. Now, seriously, some parts of the ummah, some ulama of the ummah, some communities of the ummah are still stuck at question number 5. They are still stuck at 5 years hijrah, 1,000 years ago. They are stuck at that time. They are still discussing those masail at that time. The Ummah has been discussing the Ash'ari, Maturidi, Salafi, many masail of fiqh for over 1,000 years. Yes or no?
Yes.
Have we been able to resolve those masail?
No.
Sufis are still Sufis. Yes? Have you ever seen Sufis one time? They said, Allah, tubna ilallahi wa ana bina. Khalas, no more Sufism. Have you seen Salafis one time said, we realized that we were wrong? Have you seen? No. So shall we continue stuck at those matters until the day of resurrection? This is zulm for the ummah. Some of our scholars do that. Yes? They got stuck at question number 5. And they are unable to move. The Ummah is unable to move. Yeah? So this is also another practical solution. The way we teach fiqh, this is what I suggested in this book, Post-Madhabism and Non-Madhabism. We should, when we teach fiqh, first of all, this is another area, maybe we can discuss it later, okay? We should not focus so much on micro masail. The more micro fiqh we teach, the more what? Our minds become micro. The more the ummah becomes what? Yes, the collective brain of the ummah will be micro. Can we build another civilization? Can we defend ourselves? Can we be leading nation if our mind, as the collective mind of the ummah, is micro? Impossible. So this has to be, first of all, teach your madhab, but show respect to the other madhahib. Yeah. Don't focus so much on what micro. I always mention this story. Once, I have in the UK, we have Islam channel. I have a program there to give fatwas. And there are some other mashayikh, they go to the program. One time, I went to start recording. There was another scholar. By mistake, I went. Anyway, I said, let me just listen to him. Okay? So there was a question about I have phobia of what I'm going to mention. There was a question about white wine vinegar. Yes? The Sheikh spent almost 12 minutes discuss what? The white wine vinegar, is it halal or not halal? Or it's not halal. If it is one of the ingredients. Here in Pakistan, you don't have this problem because everything is halal. Okay? But in ketchup, in mayonnaise, etc., they put what? They write white wine vinegar. Sometimes they say white vinegar. In Pakistan, here is halal. So, they ask him about this. He spent 12 minutes in saying, well, this view, that view, and kada, and Ibn Taymiyyah says, blah, 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 blah. Then there was another question, third question about what? A person 50-something years ago took what? The inheritance, the shares of inheritance of his half siblings from his father unlawfully. His father used to have 2 wives, one in the UK and another one somewhere else. And the UK siblings, the UK children, they took everything and they did not allow, or they did not leave what? Shares for their half brothers and sisters. This 50-something years. The Sheikh spent 2 minutes in addressing this. Now, the audience, when they listen to this, what are they going to think?
The priority shifts, the importance shifts, yeah.
No, white wine vinegar is 6 times more important than what? Than the
inheritance.
ظلم. ولا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل. Yes? And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever takes any, hand span of land unlawfully, طوقه 7 أراضين يوم القيامة. He will be strangled by the land that he took unlawfully. Yes? And that is not something that Allah Jalla wa Ala forgives. من كان له عند أخيه مظلمة, whoever has a مظلمة, he should reconcile in the dunya before what? The akhirah. Allah doesn't forgive it because this is the rights of others. 2 minutes to discuss it. And this is the case with so many of our, scholars. These are some quick points, believe me. Yeah. Finally, أخلاق.
Hmm.
أخلاق. قل لعبادي يقولوا التي هي أحسن إن الشيطان ينزغ بينهم. Let them, when they speak, use the best way of addressing each other, because the shaitan is trying to what? Create fitna between them. Okay, these are quick tips. I know we are getting late.
Yeah, so I think we can stop here, but there is a part 2 that should be due then. I think maybe if we can get Sheikh Saab once again, hopefully while you're still in Pakistan, that would be great. But Jazakallah khair for coming by. I know you're on a busy schedule, and Jazakallah khair for sharing your wisdom with us as well. And may Allah Ta'ala accept all the work that you're doing, and make dua for us and our institute as well, and so that we can benefit, from you more as well, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And hopefully see you soon once again on this discourse.
Inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
بإذن الله. جزاك الله خير.
بأنك تقبلني يا كريم.